Good morning, everybody. Welcome, 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 church. Oh, I'm so blessed to be here. We were just worshiping and praying and blessing you and praying for holy eye salve to open our eyes today and tenderness to warm our hearts and for all the armor, any kind of resistance just to ebb away and melt away. Just He's warming our hearts. They used to speak at Aldersgate Altar about hearts being strangely warmed. Well, that's what he's doing this morning. Well, welcome, my Samuels. We're in the age of Samuel, part 9, and there's no hope of getting out of this series anytime soon before the Lord returns, so bless his holy name. I hope he waits a bit, just until I'm done with this series. But I'm speaking to all my precious men, women, boys, and girls. The age of Samuel. We're looking at the prophet Samuel and his ministry, and we're applying every facet of the diamond of his ministry life to our time. And Samuel's today we're going to deal with the School of the Prophets, part 2. Now, last week we were introduced to a phenomena that began in Samuel's time, and it was the School of the Prophets. And if you look online, you'll see everybody's hosting a School of the Prophets. Who were the prophets? Well, they were the next generation being raised up through osmosis, the brother of Moses, hanging around with the seasoned prophets. Did you know Paul, in his beautiful epistles, said that the older women should teach the younger women, and the older men should teach the younger men? There's a continuity in the kingdom. And we introduced you to a Latin word last week, remember? Communitas. That magical, wondrous word that speaks of the unique bond that God is bringing to all of his men, women, boys, and girls. That unique ointment that brings us together. You know how you get so many sardines in a can? Oil. That's how you get sardines packed in a can. And there is a glorious oil called communitas. And it's the word that you get in the Lord of the Rings when you're looking at the Fellowship of the Ring and you see that they go through this wonderful journey together and their hearts are bonded in between. Many of you are my in-between saints. You've been living an extended season of time in between. You're not where you were. You're not yet into what you're going into. And you've been living in what we call liminal space. Liminal space is the hallway that you stand in when you come out of one hotel room and you haven't gone into the next one yet. Liminal space is a very difficult space to live in. We have a whole series called In Between. I suggest that you go and refill your wells with some of the in-between information, because we're talking about the prophets, the School of the Prophets. There is something redemptive about just being together. And there's one word we're going to be using today to define this ragtag bunch of fugitives God is assembling from all over the world. He's collecting all of his jewels from all over the world. You were once underground, and he has gone through an exhausting process of mining you out and digging you out in clumps, and then he facets you down, and as you see him as the master jeweler, he has been shaping you for years, and men, women, boys, and girls have been quarried in the quarry, and they're screaming out, and all their lives have been shaped. And in the quarry, remember, is when all the stones were made for Solomon's temple, and then they were brought in absolute silence. And over a 7-year period, without the sound of a hammer blow on the site of the Temple Mount, that glorious edifice of the Solomonic Temple rose in silence. Can you imagine? Stones hewn like that of the pyramid, brought silently after they're quarried. All the noise happened in the quarry, all the screaming, all the shouting, all the cussing. Yes, we've been listening into your life. The microphones are working. I hear what's going on. You've been in the quarry. That's when you go, and we've been decades in the quarry, but praise God, now we're being brought together. And yet it's interesting, he's bringing all his finished jewels together to make bracelets and crowns and rings and necklaces. And now we're starting to meet one another. Now the 7,000 that haven't bowed a knee to Baal, that have been hibernating. Remember what animals do when they don't have enough food and the season isn't right? They go into hibernation. It's not death. It's not sleep. It's somewhere in between. There's that word liminal, in between again. And as we look and watch right now in the world, what are we watching for? God is bringing men, women, boys, and girls. He's bringing his hewn stones together now. That's the metaphor of the school of the prophets. There's just an elegance and a grace to being together. So we're going to talk about safety, because the cohesive texture and flavor of what's going on. Why is he assembling all these people? What's the point? Just so that we can be together, because when communitas is realized, there is every nook and cranny is filled. Have you ever had safe people in your life, safe relationships, people who just bear good fruit when you're around them, and you just love them, and you're filled up, and when you talk to them, you're a better person, and you hang up from the phone call, and you could fly, you could conquer the world? That's being saturated with safety. And we're going to talk about safety today. I, thou, safety. Remember when we did our series called I and Thou, and we quoted Martin Buber's brilliant book, I and Thou, and Buber said there's only two kinds of love, actually. There's I, thou, face-to-face, subject-to-subject relationships, and that's the intention. God wants us vertically to have an I-thou intimacy with him, and horizontally, I-thou relationships with one another, subject-to-subject. Then there are I-it relationships. They're not really relationships, but they're subject-object relationships. That's where you're using someone as a means to an end. Remember what St. Augustine said? We never use people and love things. We never use people and love things. We love people and use things. There's a subtlety there, and in one step. If a person, place, or thing becomes the ultimate end in and of itself, that's called an idol. You know, idolatry, you'd never build an altar to Moloch. We know you're wicked, but you're not that wicked. But see, the thing about idolatry is idols are never ugly. They're always beautiful. An idol is just simply a good thing that you give your full attention to other than God. Whoopsie. See, he alone is worthy to sit on the throne of your life. And once a person, place, or thing pushes him off the throne, and in a subtle moment, you have a person, place, or thing that is the object of your worship, you are now an idolater. I'd never worship Moloch, but you'd worship your own opinion on any matter. Amen. We hear that every dinner we have with you. See, you are your own authority. On all matters, listen to you pontificate. And Jesus said, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. You just listen to somebody talk, and you can see who their God is, what monopolizes their time. So see, God says, this school of the prophets, this group of Samuels that he's assembling right now, these are all I-thou people. These are people that are not I-itting anyone. They've been healed of that. They don't want to use people as a means to an end. They want to love people as an end in and of themselves. Go refresh yourself in that I-thou series, because it'll change your life. At every moment, you are I-itting someone or I-thouing them. There's only two options. That's it. You're using them as a means to an end, or you're worshiping God by putting all things in order, and they're an end in and of themselves. You know, there's just something. We all want to be loved as an end in and of ourselves, don't we? We don't want to be loved. We don't want to be used. We don't want to be anyone's means to an end. We don't want to be someone's hookup. We don't want to be someone on the way that they use or need in order to accomplish some goal. See, whenever you're I-itting someone, you're using them like you'd use a hammer, right? Or a paintbrush. And our whole culture is based on I-it. There's no I-thou anywhere in the culture. It's I get to have whatever I want, however I want, whenever I want, and you're all means. to my end. Do you see? Go through life. You only go through once. Grab for all the gusto you can get. Guess what the gusto is? It's I-itness. And even Christians are I-itting one another all the time. It's a subtle shift in the church world. It's all I-it in most cases. Most of our relationships are I-it, subject to object. What have you done for me lately? Now see, the school of the prophets, though, is shaping us in a direction of looking at these men, women, boys, and girls as communitas partners who are coming into our lives now, and they are mature that doesn't matter what the age is, they're I thou people. And the primary trait of I thou people is safety. Oh, you've heard it before. Safe relationships do three things. Number one, they draw us closer to God. Number two, they draw us closer to others. And number three, they help us become more of the authentic person God has created us to be. See, whenever we are in the school of the prophets, when we're engaging in communion, we're being brought closer to God, closer to others, and closer to the authentic self God has called us to be. Do you know how you know when you're in a safe environment? You're free to be you 100% without judgment. Oh my. You say, Craig, do I have any safe Samuels in my life? Oh, you'll know. Because one phone call adds life. You love who you are when you're with a safe person. Had dinner last night with our beloved Daniel Chu. Oh, that was a safe dinner. We had the best steak. Oh, best ever. And we had the best fellowship along with the steak, and I was edified and exhorted and sufficiently sophisticated. Yet some people, 5 minutes on the phone, and they're sucking your blood out. They're vampire bats. And you're sucked dry, and you need 3 weeks to get back to where you were just when you hung up. Now, we're not going to put any pictures to that description, but you know exactly who in your life exudes the beauty of safety. Now, you know, we've used the image before, but I want to use it again. The wagon wheel. Remember the wagon wheel? The Old West. Notice that the closer the spokes get to the center, the hub, the closer they are to one another. See, the closer you get to the center in your relationship with God personally, ipso facto, you are automatically closer to all the spokes around you. Do you see? That's communitas. That's at the center. And there's also an image, if you have a triangle, and imagine 2 beads on the bottom of the triangle, right? If you start pushing them up to the tip of the triangle, what happens? The closer they get to the tip, the closer they get to the center, God, the closer they are to one another. Ipso facto. You don't have to say, we're in a movement to get closer You get closer to God, you're ipso facto, in communitas, close to everyone around you. And that's the redemptive element of safety, is that the first thing safe people do is they dwell with you. They teach you how to be in the moment. Do you know most people don't need your counsel? They don't need you to answer Bible questions. They don't need you to talk a lot and try to fix them. They need you to just be a presence and dwell with them. You know, being present is a skill. It's an art. Talk about practicing mindfulness. You can be so much a chain-smoking chihuahua that you're just moving 600 miles an hour all the time. You're missing the journey of life. You don't see anything. You don't taste your food. You're not aware of your environment. You don't know who is in the room in need because you're just myopically focused on I-itting everything. And that's what the Lord's saying to all of us. I need you to calm down in this next season because I want you to enjoy the mere communitas provided by all my Samuels that I placed in your life. Who are they? Find them out. Seek them out. Have coffee with them. talk on the phone with them, have dinner only with them. The next little while, here's your homework assignment. You need to only be around Samuels who are safe. Like-minded hearts, like-minded interests. We had a beautiful night last night. I came back from dinner with Daniel, and there was Brooke, and there was Nick was there, Uncle Nick, one of the dear friends of my kids, and Rebecca was there, and Michael was there, and we just had communitas happening in that house. I've never seen Michael so happy. He was just cuddling with Rebecca on the floor. He's got Erie's blanket on him, and he's just cuddling with Rebecca, and he's throwing his leg over Rebecca, and he's just trying to mess with, he's talking to her, and he's cooing, and Nick is just as funny as a crutch, and then it started striking me. He hadn't been in the house for a while, so he hadn't seen any of my collectibles in a while. Well, as my son Solomon would say, well. So Brooke goes, Daddy, no, don't start now. Because now I'm going to regale Nick with my Napoleonic collectibles. He hasn't seen anything I've had in the last 2 years. So anyway, I exercised restraint only a mature Samuel can have. And I said, I'm not going to show you any treasures until you come back next week. And he said, okay, Craig, I'll be back. It was just fellowship. It was so sweet. We were just together. We didn't do anything. We were just dwelling together, just being together. Do you remember in the book of Job, poor Job loses everything, right? Catastrophic destruction. He loses his kids. His house burns down. Everything happens that nobody understands why that storm came and never will this side of heaven. And initially his friends, the Bible said, came, laid down in sackcloth and ashes, and were quiet. Oh, if only they could have stayed quiet. For 7 days, come on, we have to commend them, all right? They did what was right for 7 days. They were quiet. They didn't try to fix him. They didn't try to theologically solve, unscrew the inscrutable. They didn't try to iron out the wrinkles of his situation for 7 days. Oh, then they opened their bloody mouths. And the whole book goes sideways to the point where God threatens to kill them. Said, how dare you speak these interesting concepts to the wrong guy where they don't apply? Has anyone not ever done that? Shared great theological truths, but they don't apply to your situation at all. In fact, they're a rape of your soul. So as soon as they open their mouth, they become rapists. The rest of the book, 42 chapters for God to straighten these fools out and to calm Job down. And God, by the way, God never gave an answer as to why anything happened. But it didn't matter after a while. You know, sometimes when things just, you survive the great flood and God's presence comes upon you, and he's your beloved and you're his and you belong to each other, and then everything's okay. This side of heaven, we're not going to know most things. But what's beautiful about communitas is those people are Job's friends that come and they lay down with you in sackcloth and ashes, and they dwell with you, and they stay in that beautiful redemptive healing place of safety. They dwell with you. Second thing safe people do is they extend grace to you. They draw a circle around everything you are, good, bad, evil, indifferent, and they love all of you for who you are. Warts and all. Wow. Grace is unmerited favor. Grace is getting something you don't deserve. Isn't that something? Safe people draw a circle around all of you. Good parts and bad parts. And they say, you matter no matter what. I love you knowing everything I know about you. In fact, the more I know about you that's negative, the more I love you. And the more I'm here for you. Wow. What can you do with one sip of grace like that? You'd think you died and went to heaven. And people that exude that and drip that, and that is their fragrance. Ooh, the School of the Prophets concept is getting rich. It's getting rich quick. It's like one of Mike Fuller's desserts. Just it being in the room. My sugar's already gone up. Looking at it, I have to go in to the emergency room. because that's how good it is. You know what I'm talking about. And then he'll just give you a sliver of the thing. I just gave you a little sliver. That sliver right there is enough to keep me 4 years into the millennium. But isn't it delicious that example of what Mike can make, a human being can make? Can you imagine spiritually you being that safe person, saturated, that people just one taste of you, one whiff of you, 5 minutes with you, and they're nourished and their power supply is back. The Lost in Space robot's got a full battery. Everything's fine. The dilithium crystals are charged, Captain. I don't have enough strength to do Scotty properly. Safe people dwell, they encamp, they reside, and they're present in such a way that they connect you with the deepest possible level. They extend grace, unmerited favor. They're for you. They accept you no matter what. There's no possibility of you being rejected. Can you imagine being around people that there's no possibility of anything you ever telling them would get them to reject you? What? And the third thing, they're also mirrors. They tell you the truth. They mirror the truth about you. You know, there's an old phrase that when you correct someone, you fall out of the boat of truth into an ocean of grace. It's got to be your model. You never go to someone and go, number 1, you're stupid. Number 2, you're ugly. Number 3, you're mean. Number 4, okay, you can't even say one thing. One word of truth, unless they're going to fall out of the boat of truth into an ocean of grace. That's the model. It sure got silent in the spirit realm. The lights began to flicker in the back, just in a weird way. The No-Tell Motel. It's a horror movie. What's wrong with that light? Well, they're all out now, Beloved, there's something about truth-telling. You've got to know somebody. You've got to dwell with them in safety. You've got to be a resource of unconditional acceptance and grace to be able to even earn the right to say one thing that would bring correction to their life. And when you do it, you fall out of the boat of one truth into an ocean of grace per topic, and then you're quiet. It's the Holy Spirit that convinces the world of sin, righteousness, and judgment. You can't. No one died and left you Holy Ghost. I'm sorry. We have to get you that shirt just to be a little healthy reminder backwards, so when you look in the mirror, you can see it too. So no one died and left you Holy Spirit. No one died and left you Junior Holy Spirit. Where did you get the idea that it is your job to convince men, women, boys, and girls of sin? Well, if I don't tell them, nobody's going to. Oh, really? Who died and left you Holy Ghost? Beloved, God is more than capable of getting to our brothers and sisters if we make a choice to be conduits of safety who reside with them, dwell with them, accept them unconditionally, and then we're close enough to become a mirror. Okay, I had an entire dinner with a lady, and the entire dinner I had a piece of broccoli in the front of my mouth. It was the most ghastly piece of salad on the front of my teeth. No one in the restaurant could see, think, or hear anything because that huge, nasty. Now, she never told me. So I eventually meander into the bathroom, and I eventually go to the mirror and go, oh! The guys at the mirror went, oh my God, look at that. Can we help you with that? All right. I don't know about you, but I want to know if I have a ghastly, nasty bit of something in my teeth. Just letting you know you have permission to come up and say, now dwell with me, be gentle with me, unconditionally accept me. There's nothing I can do that's going to make you reject me. But then do an extra gentle tone and say, here's the mirror, Craig. I just want to show you what's in your teeth. Nobody's telling me what's in my teeth. I'll tell you right now, your damn teeth are ugly too. Okay, no. Just, you become a mirror. See, you dwell with people. You extend grace that they can't ever be rejected. And then, my gosh, if you don't earn the right to be a mirror, to help them in times of need. And I could tell the story of a certain person that I was having lunch with who went into the bathroom, and she walked the entire roll of toilet paper out of the bathroom to the table on the high heel, completely unaware, thinking she was all that in a bag of chips. And I said, I'm so sorry, but there's a problem. What are you talking about, a problem? What are you talking about? What's the matter with my outfit? There's nothing wrong with your outfit. It's just the roll of toilet paper is going to... She was almost going to die then, right? No matter how I told her, sometimes no matter how you reflect the truth, it's going to cause a little bit of a heart jam. But do you see how presumptuous we are? We don't even have a relationship with people. We don't dwell with them. We don't have an I-thou intimacy with them, let alone an unconditional acceptance of them. And we're going to correct them. Excuse me. Maybe you're unaware. You know, isn't that a lovely tone? Don't you just love that? Doesn't that warm the cockles of your heart? You know what? You know your biggest problem? Okay, number one is there's a bullet in your head, because I'm Jimmy Bag of Donuts. I don't know who you are. I don't know who your mama is. But she's childless. That's it. Thank God for the mob, but my go-to example of most loyalty and safety analogies, not the church world. Okay. Number one, you don't do that. I'm so sorry, you never did that again. You never did it again. True facts. I'm telling you, true facts. Never did it again. You have to just... Oh, I got a great adjustment with that one. Safe relationships draw you closer to God, closer to others, closer to the real you God's intended you to be. They dwell with you, they extend grace, and then they are able to reflect truth. Remember, grace without truth is license. Truth without grace is legalism. Grace without truth is loosey-goosey. I can do whatever I want anytime I want. Ain't no God worrying about me. God knows everything I'm ever going to do, and he's just fine with it. That's loosey-goosey. That's not. Grace without truth is license, and that's forbidden in Scripture. It's licentiousness. It's what Paul forbade under any circumstance. But truth without grace is legalism. That's Phariseeism. It's putting principles over people. Pharisees always do that, don't they? Hi. We put principles over people, and I'm so sorry, but you're dead. You failed one of our rules. Bye-bye. The Pharisees. They always kill, right? Jesus said, you guys are really smart. I'll give you that. You can tell me within 30 seconds when the new moon of the Sabbath is rising, but you can't sense the sign of the times. You don't even know that I'm the God-man standing in front of you. Recent episode of The Chosen, Nicodemus says, Jesus, if you don't change, we're going to have to bring the law of Moses to bear. And Jesus said, I am the law of Moses. Hello. They didn't get it either. More reason to kill him quicker. Beloved, you see, God's bringing his school of the prophets. He's bringing communitas. He's bringing the men, women, boys, and girls we've been waiting our entire lives to fellowship with. And you say, well, Craig, I think I'm somewhat safe. I think I accept people. Well, let me first of all give you 19 traits of unsafe people. Let's just go really bad really quick, all right? So that you know when you're not dealing with one of the school of the prophets. How you know you are not dealing with a safe person. First trait is defensiveness. Unsafe people are defensive instead of being open to feedback. Well, this is getting awkward quick. Oh, just hold on. There's 18 more. They're arrogant. Unsafe people are self-righteous instead of being humble. They're always right. Third, manipulative. Unsafe people they'll only apologize instead of actually changing their behavior. Very manipulative in everything they do because they're I-itting everyone all the time. They're using you as a means to an end. Next, they're irresponsible and immature. Unsafe people avoid working on their own problems instead of dealing with and resolving their own problems. They're going to fix You. And you are their number one assignment. Next, they're egotistical. Unsafe people demand trust instead of earning it. Ooh. Anybody ever demanded trust? Maybe a parent? I'm your mother. I'm your father. Well, good for you. I'm glad you had to wear a shirt. Egotism. Next, they're narcissistic. Unsafe people believe they're perfect instead of admitting their faults. They'll never, ever, ever mention anything they're working on because they're here exclusively to fix you. Next, they're victims. Unsafe people always blame others instead of taking personal responsibility. We live in a victim culture. And remember, you're a victimizer as well as a victim. We've all been victimized, and we have all been victimizers. And when you realize that, unsafe people are always victims, always one step down, always blaming. They don't have a problem, they have a pattern. And we know they have a pattern, but they think they have a problem, whoever's victimizing them in the moment. And there's always somebody that's blamed. And so after being victims, they're liars. Unsafe people are not honest. They're not honest about their feelings. They're not honest about what they really think. So they don't tell the truth. Next, they're immature. Unsafe people are stagnant. They're not growing. Next, they're afraid of intimacy. Unsafe people avoid closeness, avoid connection, and they avoid any context in which they would connect because that means you're naked and you're vulnerable and they don't want to be seen. Next, self-centered. Unsafe people are only concerned about the I instead of the we. They're I-centered. They're not relationally centered. They're not other-centered, right? So it's I, me. Enough about me. What do you think about me? Okay, next. They're controlling. Unsafe people resist freedom instead of encouraging it. So they always want to manage you. They always want to stay in control, one step up. Next, they're artificial and unsupportive. Unsafe people flatter us instead of confronting us. Next, judgmental and condemnatory. Unsafe people condemn us instead of forgiving us. Next, they're discouraging and destructive. Unsafe people stay in a parent-child role instead of relating as equals. Next, they're unstable. Unsafe people are unstable over time instead of being consistent over time. Next, and we're almost done, they're toxic. Unsafe people are negative and influentially rather than being positive. Next, they're disloyal and gossipers. They gossip instead of keeping confidences. So the first thing you tell them is a secret that's going to get out in the name of praying more accurately. So we can pray more accurately. I've got to tell you something Erie told me in an intimate prayer moment the other day. Just so you know what she's going through so we can pray. Gossip, disloyal. Finally, religious and dogmatic. Unsafe people are religious instead of being spiritual. They're judgmental, unforgiving, dogmatic, and lacking in compassion. Now, gee, that's an onslaught of negativity. Well, yeah. Because you can taste the poison in that cup. Those are the multi-facets of unsafety. And the Samuels I'm talking about and the communitas we're speaking of in terms of the school of the prophets, of all these ones that are now coming out of hiding and they're coming now together for the first time, they're the opposite. So how do you know the traits of safety? The polar opposites of what I just mentioned. 17 traits of a safe person. They're open and teachable. They're humble. They're non-manipulative. They're reasonable and mature. They're other-centered, other-focused. They're confessional in their leadership. They're victors, not victims. They're on top of the victimization cycle. They realize they're victimizers, so they're very humble. They speak the truth in love. They speak the truth in love, so the tone and the body language matches. They're mature and childlike. They're growing. They're in the process of growth. They're maturing and they're childlike, not childish. They welcome intimacy. They're always welcoming connection, right? Always wanting to dwell with you, and they want to extend grace around all of who you are, and they want to not reject you, and they want to be mirrors of truth, and they want to grow together. They're forgiving, they're encouraging and uplifting, they're consistent over time in life, they bear good fruit, they're not perfect, but over time on a continuum in the ebb and flow, They're growing. They're processing things. They're loyal. They keep confidences. And they're spiritual without having a religious spirit. Oh, now isn't that a cup of refreshment right there? Isn't that a shower we need to have? See, I don't know if you've really reflected on the beauty of the initial condition in the garden. It says Adam and Eve were both naked and unashamed. Ooh. Naked and unashamed. Have you ever been naked and unashamed in front of anybody? Nope. Okay, good. We'll move on. Yeah, you probably haven't. Because in this fallen, unsafe world, this upholstered sewer we call Earth, you can rarely be naked and unashamed. And the whole goal of intimacy and relationship is being able to be naked and unashamed. The beauty of the innocence in the garden is what God's intent is to bring us back to through the shed blood of Jesus Christ and through his cleansing daily. 1 John 1:7, if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we continue to have fellowship one with another, and the blood of Jesus Christ keeps on cleansing us of all unrighteousness. It's walking in the light and allowing that cleansing process to become our norm. And there's no darkness, no need to hide, no need to go, oh my God, I can't believe it. And as soon as Adam and Eve sin, they're hiding. They're covering themselves with fig leaves, a covering that only lasts 24 hours before it completely shrinks. That's our great capacity in our works, to cover our own nakedness. We can't. God has to eventually slay the first animal and make coats of skins to cover their nakedness. Thank God through his shed blood. I remember I was on Religion Aligned with Dennis Prager once, and I was with a precious Orthodox rabbi and was with a priest, and we got to Genesis 3:21, and I pointed out that the first instance of sin brought the prophetic promise of covering, and how the animal was slain, and God covered their nakedness with the shed blood of the skins of the animals. And it's like everybody went silent. They'd never thought that that was the first example of covering nakedness through a substitutionary shed blood and a sacrifice. And it just, the whole gospel comes in a moment. The moment they sin, the prophecy is given, Genesis 3:15. There are two seeds at war, and the seed of the woman is going to crush the head of the serpent, but his heel will be bruised. And in that process, he will cover our nakedness. It's all there in a nugget. Genesis 3:15 and 3:21. It was just that unguarded moment of absolute silence that was very rare on that show. And you could just feel the Holy Spirit moving in. Now, that's a moment when you can choose to shut your heart, and they did. It was just a moment of nakedness, utter, like, that's what they're talking about. And in this Passover season, we tell the story again, and it's so cogent, and it's so vital and real to realize that that lamb, after they bonded with it, had its throat cut and its blood fell, and it had to be applied. And if it was applied, death couldn't come to the house, because death had already come to the house. The enemy can't touch you. But see, the beauty of that is being naked and unashamed. Do you see, that's the metaphor of safety. Who in your life can you be naked in front of and unashamed? Whatever it is that you had to confess, that you remembered, that you've never told anybody, who do you flee to first before anyone else? Or even in your mind, if you could think of someone that you might think you could get on the phone and flee to, that's a safe person. That's a Samuel. That's one of the school of the prophets. That's osmosis, the brother of Moses. Those are the people you need to get in the water and swim with and be immersed in safety with. Partners in safety. Are they perfect? No. But on the continuum, you can trust them. You know who that is. Come on. Well, I always thought that I was safe in your life. No. Never were, never will be. Boom. There's the mob again. Keep your gun and your silencer handy. Because do you see when you're a burn victim and you can't even bear the elements in the room are hurting you? Someone that's going to come in and start touching you. How are you? Can I get you some water? Here, can I touch you some? Okay, that's how we treat people who are emotional burn victims. And you wonder why they don't go to church. They don't go to church because they've already been. Because if the church were doing her job, we wouldn't need, I told my friend who's a wonderful therapist, I said, if the church ever did what she was called to do, we wouldn't need you. He said, I know, I'd be out of a job too. Sweet. If we were safe Samuels, we were a part of the school of the prophets that can bring redemption and grace and dwelling in truth to people without condemning them. Oh my God, just being heard once without being rejected is enough of a healing shot that can heal most your life. See, when you go to a therapist, you're not paying for friendship, you're paying for safety. That's what you're paying for. You're paying another human being for safety. You go, wow, it's true. They're dwelling with me. They're drawing a circle of grace around all my good and bad parts. I'm paying them to be safe. Mm-hmm. And for them also to be a mirror in the distance that can reflect the food in your teeth that might be there. By the way, do you ever brush your teeth? Haven't in 10 years. Okay, maybe you could think about brushing your teeth. Because your breath will smell sweeter. Well, that's a heavy revy. This is too much for me to hear. This is way too much. Way too much. Okay, this session is over. See how nasty we are? Even if we paid someone $100 an hour, we'll fight them. When they say, I was kind of wondering, sort of thinking, the helicopter self-observation, if it were up a little bit, maybe you could floss. Oh, I know that's hard to take. Do you know how much safety we need to even so much as hear the slightest bit of truth about us? No, I love truth. I don't know. Do you remember the Bible speaks of wise men and women and fools? Two categories. Wise man, wise woman, or foolish man, foolish woman. Remember the description of wise man, foolish man. A wise man or woman, when reality comes to them, when truth comes to them, they adapt themselves to it and they receive it. It may pinch, but a wise person hears truth, they face it, and they accept it, and they adapt to reality. You know what a fool does? Doesn't mean they're stupid. A fool will not accept reality when it comes. They dismiss it, demean it, argue with it, and reshape it. That's what a fool is in the Bible. A fool isn't like, how y'all doing? I'm just an idiot, and I'm here to do this. That's not a fool in the Bible. And it's not a derogatory, you fool. It's a person who will not accept truth when it comes, and they try to dismiss it, demean it, redefine it, and they try to manipulate being to not be what it is. Now here's the good news. The good news is we're all wise and foolish at different times. Well, I'm definitely in the first category. I love truth. Maybe a third of your life you're into the truth mode. Usually it's like, it's too blinding. I can't, I always tell people, if you can't tolerate the light of a single match when it's lit, that blows you away. How's the noonday sun going to help? I can't stand a match. Oh my God, turn that off. I'm one of the mole people. Help! Okay, well, how's the noonday sun going to help if you can't handle the light of one match? See? So it's like, we all think we're wise, but we're wise and foolish. There are times in a day when I will accept reality and adapt to it, and what a wise man. And there are other times the same day when I try to refract it, deflect it, reframe it, and deny it. And it's just getting more obvious at 63. When I'm not accepting reality, just ask the people that live with you. They know how wise or foolish you are any given moment. 5 minutes to the next. All right. Well, we're going to close today, but we're going to close with a beacon of encouragement. You were born for safety. You deserve safety. You deserve to be treated with love, respect, dignity. If you want to know what your value is, you look at the cross of Jesus Christ and the price he paid to win you back, because he's altogether in love with you. He doesn't just love you, he's in love with you. And he proved it by taking your place, showing how valuable you are, so he could dwell with you forever, so that he can draw a circle around your good and bad parts, and you're never going to be rejected, ever. And in the midst of all that, he just wants to help you be the best you could possibly be. And so you come to the place of trust, where if you need to floss, he can point that out right now. I think you need to floss. So thank you. Thank you so much. I think there's toilet paper on your high heel that you walked through. Jacques d'Abeille, the most expensive restaurant in Beverly Hills. Thank you. I'll get right on that. We grow. Come on. You're doing better than you were before. I know many of you. You are adapting to reality much quicker. My school of the prophets, God's school of the prophets, communitas all around. God bless you. I commend you. You're doing a great job. Because the goal in all of your redemption is that you would be a conduit of safety in a lost and dying world, where they have nowhere to go, no one to trust, and then you walk in this window to eternity, ajar in heaven's fragrance is blowing through you. It's hard to miss that. Nick last night brought some flowers over, and I woke up this morning and I came out of my bedroom and I just smelled something. It smelled like a little fruity, and I thought maybe Brooke, made a fruit breakfast or something. And I came down and I hadn't noticed those flowers are an amazing change in the atmosphere. And I couldn't trace it because they're downstairs, and I'm walking and I'm going through the house going, someone made like a fruit basket and I went, oh, the flowers, Craig. Boy, safety changes the atmosphere, doesn't it? You start going, something smells good. I feel better about life. I think maybe I'll tell more truth about myself because I'm accepted in this relationship. And then you can't wait to tell the last thing you forgot or you've always been afraid to say. My prayer is that you are that beacon of safety. You deserve it. God's bringing that to you now. It may not be on the horizon yet, but it's coming. And you can smell how good that would be. Just the idea of having 2 or 3 safe people in your world, in your orbit. Oh, it's delicious, right? I want to bless you. Father, I pray right now for my precious saint, Lord, your daughter, your son, who has been wounded in this life in so many different ways, Lord. We've fallen into thorn bushes and we've fallen down hills naked through cactuses. We've sustained wounds in an unsafe world, God. And I pray right now, Lord, that we would all become conduits of safety, little surgeons that can begin to pull the cactus out and do surgery and remove the caustic. It's almost like cannons have shot grape shot into our soul sometimes, and we just need surgery, Lord, for you to remove all the pellets of unsafety, Lord. Just that we just sustain living in this fallen world. I thank you that my precious ones watching now, Lord, are all budding surgeons in the school of the prophets. They're all Samuels that are dressed in their surgical attire, ready to redeem the world, ready to pull all the thorns out of the paws of the lions of the world. We're ready, Lord God, to open the window of fresh air that would bring peace and rest and hope to the world, God. that they don't need to see 100 saved people. All they need to do is see one, just one man, woman, boy, or girl in this school of the prophets. Precious Samuels, Lord. Lord, release your people into the world. Let us meet one another, Lord. Let us begin to meet our fellow Samuels. Let us begin to experience Communitas deeper than we've ever experienced before in our church life, in our personal world, Lord. I pray you release the romantic relationships that you want to be a reality, Lord. Release those without fear. Release all of the high-octane blessings you're trying to release into your people's lives, but we've just been wearing spacesuits and blocking ourselves from reality, Lord, when you want to just break through, not to kill us, but to immerse us, Lord. You open our little submarines underwater where we would be catastrophically blessed, and open our airplanes in midair where we'd be catastrophically blessed in a moment. A eucatastrophe, I pray, Lord, positive catastrophes that will redeem and bless and refresh your children in Jesus' name. And if you receive that, can you say amen? Put your hands together. Praise the Lord for his goodness. Isn't he wonderful? He's a safe Jesus. Yes, he is. That's how crazy he is about you. He's the custodian of all the secrets of your heart. You never need to fear. What a beautiful way to end this day and to bring David up with the table of the Lord. Amen. The man of God is going to come up, and we bless you. Our goal is to feed you and to nourish you. And you pray for us. You bless us and encourage us as we encourage you. Any prayer requests, go ahead and send them in. We will pray for you. And boy, I'll tell you what, if we're blessing you, let us know. Let us know. Send a word of encouragement. It'll get to me. Mike will find it. Mike will get it, and he'll pass it on to me. And boy, I'll tell you what, a missile of encouragement and acknowledgement is as blessed to me as it is to you. Amen. I know what I hear, and I'm obedient to do what I'm supposed to do to the best of my ability, but it's sure good to hear some refreshing encouragement at some point, too, that we're blessing you and we're touching you. David, come on up. Thank you, brother. New mic today.
Yeah, awesome.
Great mic. Thank you.
Welcome to the house of God, everyone.
Amen.
Welcome to the table of the Lord. We're going to start with the cup today.
Yes, Jesus.
These are means of grace.
Yes.
I'm so glad that Pastor talked about the biblical definition of grace, because it's God's favor that we cannot earn and we cannot deserve. So it's not a reward for what you do. It's an acceptance of a gift that Jesus provides and he pays for. There's a practical application to this grace, and it's directly connected to the table of the Lord. Let me read for you Romans 6, verse 14. This is an amazing, mind-blowing promise. For sin shall not any longer exert dominion over you, since now you're not under the law, but under grace. Isn't that incredible? The practical application of that is when you're tempted or when you're dealing with some action of sin. Maybe it's reoccurring anger that you have in your life. Maybe it's jealousy that makes you covet. Maybe it's some kind of addiction. I don't know what it is, but God's grace is the cure for that. When you're tempted and when you're in that kind of sin, instead of condemning yourself by the law, instead confess the abundance of his grace towards you. And it all starts here. It doesn't mean that you'll never be sinning again. It just means that as you receive that grace and that forgiveness that Jesus paid for with his blood, that starts getting released into your life, and that sin loses its grip on you slowly. The Holy Spirit works through your confession of faith, and it's a beautiful thing. So let's celebrate what Jesus did for us through his grace by his shed blood. Receive it fresh and new today, and receive the grace of his healing upon you through his broken body. Let's break the bread, and let's receive that right now through faith. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Father, for your grace through your Son. Thank you that you're constantly leading us into freedom. Thank you, Lord, that your blood just annihilates the works of the enemy. And we receive it now with thanksgiving and all glory and praise to you, Lord Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, dear brother. Wonderful blessing. Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless you. Well, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you. The Lord lift his countenance unto you and give you peace. In the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. God bless you. We love you.
We hope today's message has been a blessing to you, and if it has, please visit our website at drcraigjohnson.org. There you can find additional messages of encouragement. And if our ministry has been a blessing to you, please consider us in your ministry giving, as we depend solely on the financial assistance of our listeners like yourself. Also, please feel free to send any personal prayer requests. You can find us online at drcraigjohnson.org. God bless you.